Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. How can you make a deal with a regime that has broken every deal it's ever signed? Iran's regime continues to attack shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and is proving once again that it cannot be trusted under any circumstances. So what does the future hold for the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism, not to mention Israel, the United States, and the entire free world? Our good friend Erin Molan, host of the Erin Molan Show, joins us in a minute to break down the threats to Israel and the West. But first, two things. Number one, if you have not subscribed to the Watchman News channel, please be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Folks, for such a time as this, we have reached 1.1 million subscribers. We are growing every day. So we'd love you here with us as Watchmen and Women on the Wall every day. So be sure to subscribe. Secondly, we've got a great new partner here on the channel called Equipping the Persecuted. Now, I feel very strongly about this organization and its cause. You may not know this, but yesterday, June 29th, was the annual International Day of the Christian Martyr. And while the world debates politics, Christians in places like Nigeria are being slaughtered. Villages are under attack, homes burned to the ground, pastors murdered, families running for their lives in the middle of the night. This isn't history. This is happening right now, and most of the world is completely silent. That's why Equipping the Persecuted exists. Within hours of an attack, their teams are on the ground delivering emergency medical care, food, and support to families who have lost everything. But they don't stop there. They train local security teams, establish early warning systems, and help protect entire villages from the next attack. Folks, they care for widows, they protect orphans, they stand in the gap when no one else will. Last year alone, over 100,000 lives were impacted. But the attacks are increasing and the need is urgent. You can help right now. Go to equippingthepersecuted.org. That's equippingthepersecuted.org. They are a great organization. Check them out. I can't think of a better way to stand with your persecuted brothers and sisters in Christ around the world. Okay, big news out of the Middle East. Number one, that U.S. broker deal between Israel and Lebanon late last week. And of course, Iran's regime continuing to play games. Surprise, surprise, they cannot be trusted. Also, some very disturbing scenes over the weekend out of Dearborn, Michigan, and Australia as well, with radical Islamists taking to the streets. Our good friend Erin Molan joined me from down under. She is based in Australia with a great breakdown of the threats to Israel, the Middle East, and to you, no matter where you live. Take a look. You and I just talked about this topic on your great show, The Erin Molan Show. We encourage everyone to check it out YouTube and across social media. But we discussed that you're kind of banging your head against the wall if you're the U.S. trying to deal with a group of fanatical jihadists. Erin, I'll ask you what you asked me. Do you see this deal coming to fruition, or does this inevitably end in a renewal at some point, probably after the midterms, of military action?
I think you're spot on, Eric, and hello to your lovely audience and to you. Thank you so much for having me. I suspect and I hope, and when I say hope, it's not because I am a warmonger or because I seek conflict or any kind of military action when it's not required. I'm a realist, and a regime like the Islamic regime of Iran does not do deals. It's not in their nature. It's not in their blood. They are incapable of doing so. And we've seen so many examples of this already. You know, if they are not capable of doing a week without breaking an element of this memorandum of understanding, how do they go 60 days? And by extension to that, any longer term that is agreed to. This is a regime that is ideologically driven to destroy America, to destroy Israel, to destroy Western civilization, and they're very happy to kill tens of thousands of their own people in the process, which they have done. They're not renowned for being honest deal makers or any kind of people that you can trust. So I see this absolutely not being able to continue in the way that President Trump, I think, had hoped. But I also suspect a part of him understood that. He has other political pressures. I understand that. Midterms are crucial for him so he can continue to do things that make America great again. But I would argue this regime in place It's not even that President Trump came out and said help is on the way. A point that I was thinking about earlier this week, a lot of people are quoting that and are very disappointed in the president. I'd say to them, we often on this side say, don't take him literally.
Yeah.
Look at what he does. And we can't kind of then take him literally when it suits us. But when it doesn't, like when he says a whole civilization will be wiped out, we say, guys, he's not talking about the whole civilization. He's just talking about the terrorists, and he's talking to terrorists. So he's using that rhetoric because they don't understand Shakespeare. So I think we've got to cut him a little bit of slack there. Have faith that what he means is to finish the job and that he will do so, but sooner rather than later, because any extra time you give this regime, let alone billions of dollars, they're not going to put into programs to uplift their people or to, restore electricity to sporting clubs. It will all go into creating a nuclear weapon. And they said it themselves just 2 days ago, Eric. Their national state publication came out and said, we absolutely must have a nuclear bomb. So if they're telling you that, imagine what else is going on behind the scenes that they're not saying publicly.
No doubt, Erin, so well said. And by the way, the nuclear program is one thing, their ballistic missile program, their sponsorship of terror, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, those 2 points, by the way, are not even mentioned in this memorandum of understanding. One aspect of the whole conflict that is Lebanon. Good news, because when I saw the memorandum at first, Erin, I was very worried that Hezbollah would have free reign, that Israel is going to be pressured to withdraw. What do you think, Erin, of this deal between Lebanon and Israel that D.C. brokered last Friday? It looks like Israel's in pretty good position, but I guess a lot of this hinges on Lebanon's central government. Can they finally step up and repel Hezbollah and keep Iran out of that country?
You've absolutely nailed it. And I think, to be honest, when I first saw the memorandum, my first thought, aside from some words that I would never share on your platform, my second thought was the poor people of Lebanon, because this is essentially throwing them to the wolves as well. This is making sure that Hezbollah, the Islamic regime of Iran, of course, it's not even a proxy, it is who they are, will be able to survive and stay. And this is one of the reasons, Eric, that we saw this initial aggressive action from the Islamic regime sending ballistic missiles towards Israel, is because they were doing such an incredible job of taking care of Hezbollah. They were on the brink there. And what this has essentially done is give them another lifeline. And what I would say to people, not to the extent that there are 90 million Iranians in Iran who despise this regime, who stole power 47 years ago, but it is similar in Lebanon in that the Hezbollah is not the Lebanese people nor the government, but they have a lot more influence and there are more supporters, but not everyone. And this deal that's been done, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke brilliantly off the cuff about what this deal is and why it matters. But I worry, Eric, because I've just seen reports coming out over the last few hours saying that Lebanon either has or is looking to pull out of it entirely because of pressure from Hezbollah, and a couple of members of the Lebanese government who are tied to Hezbollah have said, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing anything like it. So that worries me significantly. But again, Israel cannot sit like a sitting duck there, given what happened on October 7, and expect to somehow not retaliate or respond to threats on the lives of its people. You know, it's experienced what it's like when you kind of placate and when you sit back and when you wait. And sorry, but the people of Israel have a government that not just should defend it, but must defend it. And that includes keeping Hezbollah in check.
Folks, that's Australia, the land down under. And joining us now is our good friend and Aussie, Erin Molan. Erin, look, we saw similar scenes in Dearborn, Michigan, here in America, where I'm sitting, the Midwest over the weekend as well. We've got a major problem here, and I think we're starting to see the bitter fruits of mass migration really come to the forefront. And it seems that Islamists here in the West are getting bolder. How do you see this?
That's such a perfect way to put it. And you're right, because I think this issue has absolutely been in both of our countries and in other places in the West for much longer than, say, just a month or a year. But they are emboldened now. And I can't imagine why, except of course I can. And particularly looking at some results in New York, where New Yorkers are electing people who are apologists for 9/11, and we wonder why we're seeing this so brazenly on our streets. The issue I have, Eric, and I've mentioned this in your show before, I lived in the world's largest Muslim country for years. I grew up there, and mum and dad drove us insane as 7, 8, and then 12, 13-year-old girls, that we would have to go to great lengths to respect the culture of the country that we were in. And that would be covering our shoulders, using this hand. We would dress in a way that was appropriate, even at a young age, because we were showing respect in a country where the most people were Muslim. I love for people to be different, to worship different gods, to have different cultures, and to retain that even when they go to other places. But what they mustn't do is through intimidation, try and enforce that on populations. And I'm sorry, that is intimidating. That is not an Easter parade, where you've got little chicks on hats, or you're walking in a way, or you're singing carols, or you're doing something that is uplifting and that is inclusive and that is a very obvious celebration of faith.
It's a show of force.
Hard kicking of the chest. It is a show of force. And the women who are marching, of course, segregated, Eric, because in a Western society, that's, of course, something else that we should, yes, support, which is fine. But the yelling from the women was very aggressive as well. It is intimidating. And do you know what the saddest part of all of that is? They ended up in some of the places they were marching at a church where they were embraced, because this suicidal empathy where we feel like we have to not only tolerate this on our streets, but we have to welcome it publicly so everyone thinks we're really good people. Well, sorry, but the people in Bondi, and I'm not linking these two, but when you allow this to fester and you have Islamic extremism, and there are elements of that in our society who have reared their ugly heads, there are consequences for it. And again, keep parts of your own culture, stay your religion when you come to another country, but embrace the values that matter to us, the core values, and respect us as a society. And don't do that stuff. I hate it. It looks awful, and it is just the start. We are absolutely screwed, and we're seeing it in the UK, in Dearborn, all over. And if you look back, Google Muslim Brotherhood. Look at the plan they openly have. They've set it all out, and they are ticking off boxes as they go, because woke Western governments are too weak to do anything about it in case somebody says, you're Islamophobic. Well, no, in plenty of Muslim countries, they don't allow praying on the streets. They won't allow it, regardless of which God you look up to. They won't allow it. So it's not Islamophobic. It's sensible, it's sane, and it's doing what you're meant to be doing, which is at the core of your job as a government, is to protect your people.
Yeah, no doubt. And Erin, one of the phenomenons we see the woke left, obviously embracing Islamist, but now the woke right, you've been very critical of the likes, and rightly so, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, et cetera. You could throw Megyn Kelly in there now as well. And essentially, they seem to be a lot more, shall we say, Islam friendly these days. I guess they think they can use Islamist as a cudgel against the Jews as well. Do you see that phenomenon kind of shaping up in a very troubling way, where elements of the right, or what used to be the right, are now becoming Islamist friendly, it seems?
It's crazy. Something from Tucker, and you're right, I cover this a lot in my show, not because I enjoy their content, quite the opposite. I would ignore it if I didn't think it had traction, or it had such a big audience, but so many millions of people see this, and so many of them just lap it up and believe it. So I feel like we all have a role in this to push back on it. But Tucker was talking about, I used to say all Muslims are trying to kill us. So, and then he says, but now I understand that's not the case. Trying to infer that any of us who speak up about Islamic extremism or jihadism are somehow saying that exact same thing. No one that I know has ever said all Muslims are trying to kill us. That's insane. But this is what he's trying to do. He's trying to say that those of us who are aware of the issue are crazy and are just filled with hate and are bigoted. It's not the case at all. He has done a complete 180 in this space. He said the other day, the threat of jihadism, jihadi, what even is jihadi? And then he moved on.
He mocks it.
And I just thought, it absolutely, I'm sure every parent of every American killed by an active jihadi would tell you, Tucker, to your face, exactly what it is. It is a very real threat. It's regimes like the Islamic regime of Iran, through their proxies or directly we had the Islamic regime of Iran firebomb a synagogue in Australia. directly from them, not even using, a terrorist proxy group. They are a significant threat. They have more blood of Americans on their hands than anyone else, mind you, except for their own people. This is why the threat is real. But when you have people like Tucker not only suddenly saying that he thinks Islam is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but what he's trying to do is say that there is no significant threat within it. Well, that's just wrong. It's dangerous, and it goes against everything we should stand for. He's not pro-American anymore. No. He's the complete opposite. And again, you mentioned Megyn Kelly. Candace Owens is on a whole other level of that. But Megyn is almost more dangerous because she still pretends to be reasonable. She's not. She still tries to frame it in the same way I talk about Tucker saying, oh, everyone from Islam wants to kill us, which no one ever said. She's saying, they hate me because I was critical of the Israeli government. No, I've been critical of the Israeli government. You are allowed to be. That's great. What she's done is not that. She's bought into a million things, conspiracy theories. She's said things that are completely anti-Semitic. I don't think she is, but she's saying things that are. And she is dangerous. She is platforming people who spew hate. It's not because once she was critical of the Israeli government, but this is the straw man argument, isn't it? They try and frame it as something and then say it's so unfair. I've been attacked mercilessly. Well, no, sorry. And it's actually your own listeners and viewers who are calling you out because they don't recognize the person that you have become. But it's deeply, deeply disturbing. But I hope, Eric, and I notice in polls that the influence they seem to have on X and online doesn't quite translate into the voting public.
Yeah, Erin, that's a key. Yes, true. That is a key point. I think X is one world and real life and real America is another world where they don't resonate. But Erin Molan, you do, of course, folks. Check her out on the Erin Molan Show, X, Instagram, across social media. Erin, great stuff. Always great seeing you. God bless. Great breakdown, as always, from our good friend Erin Molan. Folks, be sure to check Erin out. Instagram, Meta, X, across social media, and, of course, her YouTube channel, The Erin Molan Show, hard-hitting, bringing the truth in a time where there's a lot of deceit going around, especially when it comes to Israel and the Jewish people. Of course, as we said during the interview, the United States, under President Trump in particular, key point there, is really the last line of defense for Judeo-Christian Western civilization. Israel, first line of defense in the belly of the beast, holding back the wolves of jihad from coming to our shores in an even more significant way than they already are, thanks to weak, woke leftist governments. It is, again, a tumultuous time in the world and for the West and for Israel, but the good news is God Almighty still sits on the throne, so be encouraged. Hey, thanks for joining us. Until next time, God bless you, and remember, never hold your peace. Hey, everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.